everyone. This is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast. I've got a great episode and great guest for you, Janice Porter. And Janice and I are going to talk about how to build relationships from a cold contact, how to reach out to them, and how to get that contact to go from cold to warm and build that relationship through. And she's an expert and a master at doing so. Going to go there right in a moment. Those of you who are seeking predictable revenue, seeking to follow up better, or seeking technology to do both, feel free to reach out to me at doug@ceosalesstrategies.com and let's have a conversation. For now, let's go talk to Janice. Hey, Janice, welcome to the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very excited.
And you are calling in from the beautiful place of Vancouver, Canada. Did I get it right?
Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. You got it.
Well, I forgot the British Columbia, so
Yeah.
Thanks for correcting me. And Janice, why don't you tell everyone what you do? I'm very excited to have you here today.
Oh, thank you. Well, Doug, I call myself a relationship marketing specialist. And what I mean by that is I teach people how to use LinkedIn, that's my online platform of choice, to build relationships, to grow your business, to be noted, to be visible, and to show your authority. And I show people how to nurture those relationships, some on LinkedIn and some using an offline tool that sends real cards and gifts in the mail, because I do believe that the tangible touch takes people from their head to their heart.
And so you're using LinkedIn primarily. Are you reaching out to business people?
Yes. Yeah. Well, yes, I would say yes.
So if I was reaching out to business to not strict business, like business to consumer or business to something else, I could use LinkedIn, or I could use any other thing that would work that way, right? Maybe Meta, or whatever channel, or should
You mean for the strategies that I use? Because
yeah, exactly.
well, I think every platform has its own flavor and has its own way of doing things, and so I can't really answer that because I'm a voyeur on Instagram, and Facebook just drives me crazy, although I don't tend to use it for business anymore. And I'll tell you why the difference is there as well, is that because LinkedIn is the only business platform of those major, except Twitter or X, but I don't use X. So I think that's too political. I try to stay away from all of that. So I know some people don't use it for political reasons, but it just isn't my comfort zone. So I stay away from it. But with LinkedIn, you get decision makers there. You get influencers there who can get to the decision maker for you. You get people who have discretionary income, so they can make decisions quickly. They can spend money. They have the money to spend. And there are men and women in almost equal capacity on there.
Yeah, the reason I brought that up is because what I'm hearing you say is you're building a relationship with people through through a technology, and then driving them to building a relationship out using offline methodology as well as the online methodology.
Yes, and I guess in one respect, I would say that it's really my online networking tool as well, if there's a different way to put it, because
Right.
really, although I've been teaching LinkedIn to people for years before COVID, when COVID hit, we couldn't go to networking events anymore. So LinkedIn became a bigger tool for a lot more people, including myself.
Right. Yeah, and we use LinkedIn as well.
Mhm.
And so, because we primarily deal with business professionals or
Right.
business to business. And but we've used other methodologies. We've used email to start to, we have had results with email. We've had results picking the phone up, and making
Oh
those
yeah,
calls.
what a strange thing to think about. Yes, I
Yeah,
love that.
exactly. People
Yeah.
are like, "Oh, that type of thing is dead." No, it's not. As long as you know how to do it effectively.
Yeah.
So, we're reaching out to someone.
Hmm.
In your case, the favorite is using LinkedIn. which I think all people should use no matter what they're selling.
Mhm.
And now driving them to some type of second step, correct? So you're reaching out, you're making a connection. Yeah, walk us through the process of how to build a relationship with someone.
Okay, so first of all, if I could just describe my idea of LinkedIn, because that will give you the
Okay.
framework. And basically, I see it in three parts. The first part is to have a profile that speaks to your target audiences, that um, shows how you serve your audience, right? You're a sales strategist and you want to help people improve their sales. So your profile, particularly the what I call the key pieces, the banner, the headline, and the about section, and not to forget your headshot as well, because it speaks volumes. It gives that first impression, right? And it speaks to your target audience. So it allows the audience to, the first time viewer of your profile, to say, oh, he speaks my language, he can help me or not, right? Which you want. You want it to divide that audience. So your profile comes first, because when someone comes to your profile, they're going to look first, whether it's good or bad. Even if they Google you, Google comes up, your LinkedIn profile comes up within the top 5 on the first
Mhm.
page, always, whether it's good or bad. So you want it to be good. And then there are two pieces, the two pillars, I guess, of LinkedIn are your content and your, I call it your messaging strategies, but your outreach and your inbound. So what you do with those, how you research them, how you do, how you do. Sorry, I've been talking all morning. Sometimes my head goes faster than my mouth.
Well, you know what's great
Um,
about that? People know this is live, right?
yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, so your strategic search is to find the kinds of people that you want to build, to start a relationship with,
Mhm.
and also different strategies around using your existing connections to help you get to new connections. So all of these things are ways to manage relationship building or starting relationship on LinkedIn. So, for example, now that you and I have become connected, I would actually, we're not yet. It's pending. You still haven't connected with me or accepted my connection request.
Uh-oh,
So
uh-oh,
there
I'm
you
in
go.
trouble. I'm guilty.
Yeah, that's okay. It's all good. But then, so you, for example, you and I have over 50 common connections on LinkedIn, people that we're both connected to. So that's cool. But then what I'm interested in is, of your 5,500 approximate connections, who in your connection base might be someone that I would want to talk to. So one strategy might be that I would look at your connections and I would say, it takes time to go through them, right? But I might choose 5 or 10 people. I'll probably start with a small number, maybe 5, and say, Doug, I noticed that you're connected to so and so. And I don't know if you know him well or not, but I'm really interested in talking to him. Would you be able to do a virtual introduction to me?
Mhm.
So that would be one strategy for starting an outreach project. Okay. And then you, of course, could do the same for me. I would encourage you to if you wanted to, right? Um, and from there, you would do an introduction. I would then say, thanks for introducing me. And I would start a conversation with the new person, because I might have looked at their profile and thought that maybe they need some help with LinkedIn, or I might notice that they're in an industry that it's important that they stay connected to their clients, and what are they using now for that, and maybe I could help with a new. But I would never pitch them right away, and I would want you to know that. I would start to build rapport, and I would start to look for ways that I can add value before I even offer to have a conversation with them.
So this sounds to me, and correct me if I'm off base here, but
Sure.
it sounds to me like this is the basis of building any relationship. If we want to date, for example, like we're in
Of
that place,
course.
right?
Yeah.
We're gonna set up our profile and we're gonna look the best we can look, and we're gonna try to be the most attractive to attract the people that we've identified that, hey, we want to, get to know. And then we're going to look at how do we get to know them. And in some cases, the best way is find their friends and, befriend their friends. And then, hey, I'm looking to meet, so and so. And now that trust factor is transferred from one person to another person. And we all
Mhm.
like that as human beings because we like, intrigue, but safety and security at the same time, right? So
Right,
um,
right.
and then you're building off these connections, and in the case of LinkedIn, we're building off of these things, and we're developing now a relationship. We're going to have our first hi, how are you? Get to know
Mhm,
you,
mhm,
first date, if you will,
mhm.
and then we're going to continue to grow a relationship. Is anything askew from what I just said?
The only thing that's askew is if people that most people don't do that. They get the relationship or they get the introduction and then they pitch slap them or whatever
Ah,
you want to call it, right?
pitch slap. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I don't know. Is that what you call it? Yeah.
We are now. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, you took and if you found out that I did that, you wouldn't be happy,
No,
right? No.
no.
So, and that actually brings up another piece that I find really interesting when people go to network events in person and or let's say you belong to a weekly networking group
Yeah.
and all of the people that are the members, you have to bring referrals for. And one or two of them or whatever, you have your favorites or the ones that work in the same alignment with you. But uh, if I if I meet someone and I think that there might, I meet someone, I have this initial conversation with them, I'm looking for a way to be of value to them. Um, but I'm not going to make the introduction. I think there's someone they should meet, but I'm not going to just blindly make that introduction because the person that I'm going to introduce them to is my trusted colleague. And I want to make sure that that works for them before I give out their information.
Right.
Right. So I think that's a piece that some people go, oh, I know someone you can, here's their name. Or not that that's a proper referral, but you just want to make sure that you keep your trusted group of connections. Um, you you keep them, you hold them in high esteem, so you don't want to take advantage of them.
So I love what we're talking about because and part of me wants to name this episode "Don't Pitch Slap Them, Transfer Trust," right?
Oh
Um,
God.
so here's why I love this, because we're talking about the connections and building relationships. We're also talking about protecting those relationships we already already have, which, you know, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, he, she's, and they's listening to this. When you're making a referral, you're conveying trust, your trust transferring to someone else. When they're making a referral to you, they're doing the exact same thing. So if you go pitch slap them, as you said, because yeah, we're going to keep using that word. I love
I
it.
can see that. Yeah,
Then what ends up happening is you might be moving in for the kiss way too early.
exactly. Yeah,
And
exactly.
so it is an uncomfortable situation for both parties at that point, because one is pulling back and the other now, if they're going to continue to keep pursuing, is going to now be considered more of a stalker versus a
Mhm.
relationship builder.
Right.
And so please keep in mind, folks, exactly what Janice is saying. And by the way, you can find her on janiceporter.com. And keep in mind, because if you're breaking that trust, you're now eroding the relationship of the person who trusted you with the person that they actually had the trust already built.
Yeah.
And that's not going to end well in most
No, it's
cases.
not because you've just gone down so many rungs on the ladder that there'll never be, when you have certain connections and relationships with people, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a reciprocal type relationship just based on however, the situation has set up. However, you still want to be in that trusted position. I had an example actually a few days ago of a brand new connection. So, of exactly what we're talking about. A friend of mine, or a new connection actually, but a new relationship that I built with this person. He introduced me to this woman that he thought he didn't know for sure. He said, "You don't know, but she might be of interest for your podcast or whatever." And so he introduced us, and we booked a time to talk because we both appreciate that he had done that for us. And we get on this call, and we have no idea how we could actually connect because we were in different, things different. She was in kind of women's health care, and I'm, what I do, I'm built about relationship building. But the whole time I'm talking to her, we couldn't find a fit really, but we appreciated the time that we talked together, and sort of left on a friendly note. And that doesn't happen all the time, that there is no connection really there, but it happened this time, and it was a little bit uncomfortable, but she was really nice and everything. So the very next day, I'm having a conversation with somebody that I do business with, but I didn't know that she also did work in the same field. She's like in another. She's got several jobs kind of going at the same time, but her passion work that she's leaning towards is this women's health thing, exactly the same field that this person's in. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I think you need to meet her because she's a coach in this area and she's been doing this, but in a different way to you. But I didn't just introduce her. I went back to the new person, even though this was my trusted person. I said, would you be open to this? Because I think there might be some synergy there. Absolutely, she said. So I introduced them. And it was like, she said, it's funny how things happen, right? Because we weren't meant to meet, but that was meant to happen. I really believe it.
And I want to point out the brilliance of what you've done, because most people actually miss this. I wrote this down as before you started this, and so great minds are thinking alike, as they say, right? So we want to protect the referrer.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ways of protecting the referrer is we get back and we report back to the referrer. And that's exactly what you did. You reached back out and said, hey, this is this. It didn't necessarily, for me and she, the two of us, it didn't work out as much, but it's great relationship start. And I have this other person that I think would be great. Would you be okay with this? Now, you maintain the relationship, but bolstered that because now the trust meter goes whoop, way up on that process, right? So I wanted to bring something up. When it comes to referrals, people, statistically, like I'm a kind of a numbers guy, but statistically, if you just say to somebody, look, I'm going to refer you to someone else, and that person refers it off, you'll have a percentage of close rate, but it's going to be much lower than if somebody introduces you personally to the other person. In other words, if I just connect two people by email and say, hey, A meet B and B meet A, okay, there's a transfer of trust, but that's about a 50% or less chance that the business is going to happen. So, and some people might say, well, I'll take those odds at 50%. I'm saying or less. Okay. This is so, however, if I now do something a little bit more, I pick up the phone and I call my friend and I say, I'm going to personally introduce you to this person, then the close rate will go up.
So when you call your friend, you're warning them that they're getting the email.
Well, I'll ask, just as you said,
Yeah, yeah,
say, here's
exactly,
the
exactly.
situation, here's the reason why.
Of course, because they don't want to look bad by you either. So they're
correct. So we're building that relationship out. Now they're informed too, so it's not going to be just like, oh, let's get together and figure this out.
Exactly.
Right? So
I'm having a meeting or a coffee date with a friend of mine on Friday because I have a referral for her and I want to give her the backstory.
yes,
Right. But most people won't take the time. Most people don't even know how to do a proper referral.
That's why I'm asking and bringing
Yes.
this up on this
Yeah.
call, Janice, because the thing is just the fact that you have the ability to, one has the ability to call automatically increases the probability of close.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And so I'm bringing this forth because most people don't know this information. I know you do.
Yeah, no, I know. But here's another example where people will say, oh, hey, Doug, I've got this referral for you. And you go, oh, great. What is it? And the person says, well, I gave Bill your number,
Right,
for him to call you,
right.
right? That's not a referral.
No, that's and you should also in a referral, folks, you should be asking the question, what's your relationship with this person? Right? Because that person might think it's great, and the person that's being referred to might actually not think it's so great, right? And
Exactly.
so you don't
Yeah.
want to be caught in the middle of that situation. And if you can get two parties on a phone call and you the refer and the other person on the phone call and they personally introduce you and then you set a
Yeah.
meeting from there, it's
Yeah.
even better. So it's one of these things that, as you're saying, Janice, most people don't know how to refer
Mhm.
and they think, oh, here's a name in a they write it
Yeah.
down on the back of a napkin and hand it
Yeah.
off. That wow, that's a great quality referral. No, that's a name passed on the back of a napkin. It is a referral, but
Yeah.
so okay, so we got there. Now, how are you using offline? Because I wanted to hit that
Mhm.
point because offline, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, offline is so hard, or it's so much work and blah blah,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I'm using technology because the system that I use is actually an online system that sends real cards and gifts in the mail. So I can systemize it, like I can pre-program things to go out. However, and I do that sometimes. However, the most I think the most brilliant kind of card to send is the one that's unexpected.
Yes.
Okay, I was actually listening to a podcast 2 days ago. Or I think I was at the gym, and I'm listening to this podcast, and it's two people that I know. One is a mentor of mine, and the other one is also mentored by her. And we kind of, we're both doing podcasts, and so I like to listen once in a while. So she was interviewing the mentor. So I'm listening, and halfway through the podcast, the mentor says something. I don't even remember what the context was, but it was to do with relationships. And it was to do with, she said, and our friend Janice sent me a card with that picture on it, and it's on my fridge. And the other one said, and it's up in my office. So the context of that was on LinkedIn. I saw this photograph of the two of them together where they had not ever met in person before because one lives on the West Coast, one lives on the East Coast, but the one was coming to New York and they met there. And so this picture was taken of them and I was so jealous because I wanted to be there too. And so I took that picture and I sent it to both of them separately as a card, actually a flat card that you can put up on your fridge or put up on your or frame it or whatever. And so, and I said, hashtag photo memory. This one's for the fridge or something like that. And so I wish I was there. And so they both got it. And I didn't expect a thank you or anything. I just send it with no expectation. But then when I'm listening, I'm at the gym and I'm listening to this and I'm laughing, I thought, oh, that's so cool. They both, so that's the kind of hit that you want because you want it to come to the heart.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm a big proponent of follow up in general, like
Mhm.
even if it's, one time, like
Yep. Yeah.
what you did. But we want to make it personalized, meaningful, and relevant. And you
Yeah.
certainly did all three of those
Yeah.
in that. And the more we can make that personalized, meaningful, and relevant, the stronger the connection will be.
Yeah.
Because we all want that as a human being.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
how does someone take the next step to understand how to figure out how to either implement this on their own, or should they call you first and have a
Okay.
conversation?
Well, definitely they should call me and they should tell me that they came to me by listening to you or to this podcast or by, so I know the context. If not, I will ask, of course. But because I really feel, or I can actually give you a link that you can put in the show notes and they can go check it out for themselves if they don't want to call me. I do feel that your best introduction is always from someone who feels passionate about it, because
Mhm.
that can help, but it's okay. And I won't try to sell anybody. I just want to explain it or demonstrate it in a way that will hit their heart, because that's what you want to do. And but either way is fine. But I can do a quick demo for someone, and in that demo, I would send them a card, and then they get to experience it themselves.
Excellent. And I will ask for that link and we'll put it in the show
Okay,
notes.
fair enough.
And so people are always wondering this, right? And they always ask this question. Janice, if I go and follow up, do this LinkedIn and relationship thing and follow up, like, are there like some average? Should I expect an average amount of sales per X period? Like, and I
You
know
know,
it's an unfair question, right? But
mhm,
I know there's people sitting in their car right now going, okay, this is interesting.
yeah.
But really, does it work? And I actually have some numbers that I believe for every 20 reach outs, you'll get five. And for every five, you'll pick up, if you're good at messaging, at least 2 to 3 conversations out of the 20 reach outs.
I,
Do you have any different numbers or?
no, I think that's pretty fair. I think for me, I find, and again, you're right, you can't, everybody's different, and
Right,
it's not the kind of thing you can really check a general ROI, but I think you have to notice things. And you do have to track them. You have to track how many outreaches am I doing? Like how many connection requests did I do this week? How many of those have responded? What am I? And by the way, by responding, most people just hit accept,
right.
right? They don't. So now it's really up to you to start that conversation and build rapport. So, and the reason we don't pitch slap them is because we pay attention to their profile. We look, we don't, the people that do that, that pitch, they're not even looking. They're just doing the numbers game and seeing how many people will respond to what they want to sell them. The people who think like I do are looking for something in that person's profile that will be a conversation starter, that will allow them to build rapport very quickly. And sometimes you have to read between the lines. So, for example, if I see somebody, they seem really kind of easy things to me, but to some people, they don't know how to start a conversation.
Right.
So it's March coming up. It's March Madness. It's basketball season. And if I see someone has put that they went to North Carolina University, I'm going to think they might be a basketball fan. And so I might start a conversation about, are you ready for March Madness? Are you a basketball fan? Something like that. So it's completely different to anything to do with business. I'm just trying to get into their head a little bit. Does that make sense?
You're building a relationship without pitching them out of the gate. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I if you walk into a restaurant tonight, folks, and you see anybody in the restaurant and you walk up to them and you try to kiss them, they're probably going to push back.
Yeah.
Not everyone. You'll get lucky once in a while. They might even kiss you back occasionally, right?
Oh my goodness.
But if you walk into a restaurant and you walk over, without seeming like a stalker, and you just have a nice smile and attire, and you say, hello, I noticed you know, your sneakers or whatever, right? I've done
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I've seen a lady who's had amazing shoes.
Yeah.
And I used to run a high fashion ladies shoe store, so
You
I have a
did?
little bit of
Oh,
interest. My
fantastic.
family
Yeah.
had one.
Yeah.
So I'll walk up and I'll go, hey, are these, are those shoes? They look like, they really nice
Yeah.
shoes, right? It's not offensive, and they're not going to take it as predatory, is and it's a conversation starter, right? So you find something that is
Yeah.
non-threatening with this person. And if
Right.
they have a Philadelphia Eagles jacket on, right, who
Yeah.
won the
Yeah.
Super Bowl this year, it's not going to be offensive to go, hey, geez, the Eagles did really well. I'm assuming you're a fan, are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to throw a plate of spaghetti at you over that one, right?
No.
So
No.
that's what you're saying is
Yeah.
establish some common ground first, build a little bit of a relationship and a little more of a relationship.
Mhm.
And as you deepen that relationship, things will start to reveal, where you take it, where the pitch is appropriate at that point.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, that makes sense. Janice, how
Okay.
do they get a hold of you? How do people get a hold of you?
So they can go to janice@janiceporter.com and email me. And they can also reach out on LinkedIn, and I'm easy to find on LinkedIn. It's Janice Porter. And I didn't mention at the beginning that I also have a podcast called Relationships Rule. And you can find me anywhere on the podcast platforms. And um, soon, Doug will be a guest on my podcast too. So we will
Well,
share that with
but I
everybody.
first got to accept your LinkedIn request, so I didn't do
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
that.
And of course, when you and I first started talking,
Yes,
the first time we talked, I noticed that you'd gone to the Berklee College of Music, and that was
yes,
really interesting to me that you'd been singing and you'd also done instruments, right? You did,
yes,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
played and I used to sell music equipment to the bands out there that people listen to on the radio today. So,
That's
um,
cool.
but we had a good bonding point on that, right? Because
Yeah,
you were kind enough to actually take notice and take a look, and we had that conversation. And now
yeah,
it's led to both of us being on each other's podcast.
yeah.
Both of us
Exactly.
will accept our LinkedIn
Yeah.
requests, and
It's not a big deal.
and we'll
That just points to how often you go on there, perhaps, and
correct,
maybe, yeah,
correct.
yeah,
I have people who actually are looking at my LinkedIn profile, right? And so the and what's great about this is we're all make errors in life, right? So
of course.
this is what I want people to understand. You can still be very, very successful if you even if you're making an error here and there. So I really appreciate you being here on the CEO Sales Strategies podcast, Janice. And I hope that you get nice sunny weather coming up there in Vancouver. And I'd love to have you back again. And so thank you for being here today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you. And just know also that, even though we were talking about the relationship side of LinkedIn and how to use it, we can get to that also from the content side. So there's different strategies that we can use there too. So just so you know, I kind of do both sides, but my favorite is building relationships. So thank you. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. All right, what did you learn? Did you learn that, reaching out, that, there's a process to it? It's like a dance, right? You go up, you ask someone to dance. You don't grab that person and grab and pull them tight, right? Not right out of the gate. You're going to build a little bit of a relationship to make the dance work. And so if you go as she said, and I love the term pitch slap, right? If you go and try to pitch slap somebody right out, it's just like throwing cold water on them. In most cases they're going to recoil, and no one really likes to have cold water thrown on them. A few people, not many, right? So take the step-by-step process that we talked about. I would outline it, listen to this again and then start to implement parts and pieces of the process, or reach out to Janice directly for that. If you want to grow your revenue predictably, reliably, you want to be able to have that measurable, or you're interested in having better follow-up skills or just converting better, reach out to me directly. We have not only the training, the skills, and the technology to help you. You can reach out to me at doug@ceosalesstrategies.com, and I'll be happy to have a conversation with you. Until next time, this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies podcast. Go out and sell something. Sell a lot of it. Make a lot of people happy. Play win-win-win. Don't discount. You know why, right? You've got to sell lots more to make up for those discounts. So build value. Show people the business ROI and the personal ROI that they're looking for. You can hold your price, maybe even increase it. Until next time, this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies podcast saying, to your success.